There are more woes for the cheaters website Ashley Madison, with class action lawsuits now being filed. The class action suit was filed jointly by two firms, one in Windsor, the other in Toronto, and the suit alleges thousands of Canadians had their privacy breached when the adultery website was hacked in July. This week, the personal data of 32 million users was leaked, including email and home addresses and message histories. One of the firms involved in the class action lawsuit is Toronto-based Charney Lawyers. Joining us to talk about the legal action is Ted Charney. Good morning. Thank you for being on the show.
Good morning.
So tell me how this came about, and in terms of the first person who came forward to say that they wanted to do this.
Well, 2 days ago, there was a massive dump of private confidential information from the site, and all of a sudden we received numerous calls. The phone just wouldn't stop ringing off the hook, and as a result, we had a number of people who came forward and wanted to start this class action, but only one person was prepared to use it with his own name, and that was Elliot Shore, and that's how we started the case with him.
So the lawsuit would involve basically two groups of people then, depending on how big it gets, is the people who are willing to be named, this one individual, and those who are not.
Well, normally, we've done a lot of class actions, and normally this is not an issue, but in this particular case, there's only one person so far who's come forward, as far as I know, across the country, who was willing to be named. And that is how we were able to start the class action, because the law of Canada is, if you want to start a lawsuit, you have to be named.
And that was my next question. How difficult will it be if the majority of people do not want to be named?
Well, in a class action, the beauty of a class action is you only need one or two people who are prepared to come forward and be named in the lawsuit in order to be the representative plaintiffs. And then the decision that is made in court on their behalf is a decision that is made on behalf of everybody who participates in the class action. But the effect of the class action is you only need one or two people to be named in the lawsuit, and everyone else is bound by the decision unless they opt out of the class action.
So tell me a little bit about, how the compensation might work for those, I guess, depending on the severity of the breach?
When it comes to privacy breach class actions in Canada, the law is just beginning to develop. It's a relatively new area of law. And so far, in the cases that we've worked on, we've been able to get the cases certified. And there is a new tort that has just developed out of Ontario for the last 2 years. It has an awful name, but essentially it means breach of privacy. It's called intrusion upon seclusion. And the range of damages that's associated with that tort go from a low of $2,500 to a high of $25,000, depending on the severity of the privacy breach. So in cases where your reputation is affected, where it could affect your job, where it can affect your family, the high end would be more appropriate. And in cases where the breach is relatively innocuous and, in effect, you really don't suffer any damages, it would be at the low end. So we're talking about 200,000 or 300,000 people whose information has been released online, where anyone can determine whether or not they've been involved in this particular website. And because of the nature of the website, the damages are probably going to be at the higher end, in my opinion. And when you multiply that times the number of people involved, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow. Ted Charney, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you.